Okay. Hi guys, it's Wonder Woman Summer. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Bleach Volume 56. I just finished reading it. Well, finished rereading it. I locked the screen so I don't have to keep touching my phone. And I got like a nice little tripod I'm going to show you like at the end. But Volume 56 is where they get into the fight. Bleach, Ichigo, and his name, or it's German, so I'm gonna just show you that guy right there by now. Get into it. So basically, in order from the Imperial Magistrate, from the Star Knights, to start the war, because they were going to invade in like 5 days, but since Ichigo is in Hueco Mundo, they decided, since he's like one of the 5 threats that they have been talking about, it's a good time to invade the Soul Society. So basically that's what we're getting into in the first relative page. So they immobilize their troops, and the Quincy, one of the Night Quincy's, is still fighting Ichigo right now. And as we get more and more, into it, he's very interested to know that, he is using a sword. And another thing that he's interested in is that he is a Quincy final state. Another German word, style? No, schnell. It's not schnell. It's basically, Uryu had a final form. Quincy's have a final form. Like, after that, they lose their Quincy abilities. But with the Night Stars, that's definitely not the case. And we see him remove his glove. So basically, his final form is Quincy, I'm just going to use the English term, which is holy form. You guys see it right there. It's really pretty. I mean, not pretty, but like it's very interesting and very holy. But basically, and then we have like this brief view to the next scene of the Soul Society, which I think is very interesting. Basically, it's a recap of, the final Quincy stage. Basically, Unohara told me about the information as usual. He remembered when Ishida lost his Quincy powers before. This was the cause of it. Basically, their glove, which is the Shenrina Shoto, a glove which diffuses reishi, aids Quincy's who fight by absorbing the reishi all around them. After training with it, and then by removing it, you are finally able to gain the greatest power of a Quincy, that is the Quincy's final form, but as immense power is the greatest and also the final power for the Quincy's. Those acquire it eventually end up losing their powers and abilities as Quincy's. It is the same thing. This power from the guy is using is the same power I heard about. Basically, reinstating all of what that was. Definitely, there's some really great action shots in here. I definitely wanted to show you guys. Another thing to note, that he can actually basically, no, it's not just that. Now, as the two are fighting, they get interrupted by Avalon. If you guys don't know who Avalon is, he is one of the 3 Arrancars. Like, when they cut off one of their arms, when 3 of them cut off their arms, they create this monster which is called Avalon. And the last previous volume, we thought that they were finished. They looked completely laid out on the floor. I didn't know if they were like finished or dead or injured, but he comes back and they make another appearance. Him and the three Quincy's. And he goes on a vicious attack. They show a little bit of concern for him because they feel like he is beating him too badly. And then we go back to another scene in the Soul Society with the two new characters. I think his name is Shunho, and her name is a little bit hard to pronounce, but basically Shunho is asking her why are they fighting with the Quincy's beyond that they did declare war, but what's another reason why they're like sworn enemies? That's what he's trying to like find out about it. So basically we meet 13 Captain 6 Seath Hajimoto Jekimaro. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but we introduced to him, and he basically says like, I know I've heard like rumors about like the Soul Society. He basically tells him the reason, and the reason consists of the souls that exist in the Soul Society and the world of the living are evenly distributed at all times. They are separate, so they do not come into contact with each other using a boundary called Dengai. If not, the balance of the two worlds will be disrupted and both sides could collapse. So basically sending souls to the world of the living from the Soul Society as a living organism, guiding death souls to the Soul Society without discrimination. By doing so, we can keep an eye on the number of souls and adjust the balance of the world living accordingly. That is our job as Soul Reapers, and Quincy's were those who disrupted the balance. So basically giving both of them a history lesson of that. Quincy's completely extinguish the souls that have become hollows. This means that the souls that were sent to the world of the living disappear without ever returning to the Soul Society. Some of the number of souls increase only in the world of the living. If allowed, that one day the equilibrium would mostly suddenly fall apart. The Soul Society would fall into the world of the living. Both the world of the living would collapse simultaneously. To prevent that collapse, the Soul Society approached the Quincy's for dialogue repeatedly and were repeatedly turned down every time. Yet discussion and negotiations continued, at times that led to conflicts, but the Quincy's would never back down. The world was steadily heading toward a collapse, and after much debate in the Soul Society 200 years ago, the Quincy extermination operation was fully carried out. So basically the same thing that I said in the previous chapter, because we do know this when we are first introduced to Uryu Ishida, which is basically Ichigo's first encounter and everybody's first encounter with a Quincy. And Urahara tells us a brief history about the war with the Quincy's and the Soul Reapers. So he says, Shunho says, I have one question. Is there any justice for the Soul Reapers in this battle? And he says, if there's justice for no one on the other side, it will either be self-defense or subjugation. But war just takes place. Because both sides aren't just, and then it like cuts him off and then goes back to the fight with Avalon and the Quincy. And basically, I have advised His Majesty to adjust the strength of the blunt. it does sound like blood, but basically I'm just gonna say the English version. It's the blood dress, basically. So basically I think there's like a power restriction that he's talking about. If you guys remember when the Arankars invaded the human world, they are issued like a certain level restriction, the Soul Reapers, to not have so much Soul Reaper, to have like their spiritual pressure seep out into the world of the living. It's like, I think it's Tenkai Getchu, which they use to restrict their Soul Reaper powers so they don't interfere with the world of the living. And I think that's what he's talking about right now, but in a different form, but basically in a Quincy form. I think that's what he's talking about. That's like a little theory of mine. He said, before I do eat people, must die immediately. And out of nowhere, he is about to annihilate Avalon. Hopefully you guys can see that. And this is just pretty, a little bit graphic. Well, not too much, but hopefully you guys can see that. Where he's just blown into, like, he takes on a different form. I don't know if you guys can. So basically, he said, because of my holy wings have been tarnished by those who are wicked, and out of nowhere, the 3 Arankars disappear. And they go into hiding. It basically says, now the ability of Quincy's is to absorb reishi, and 2 of the most common places that reishi is absorbed is basically the Soul Society and Wakamundo. So basically, they decided to hide, talk to Orihime and Chad, and basically say, we cannot possibly defeat somebody that is made out of, that can absorb reishi. So he basically says, she says, we will move you to the Soul Reaper's location and remain hidden inside. And he says, smart decision. However, our difference in power is left out of the equation. So he basically finds them underground. It was basically, they went underground so they wouldn't detect his reishi. Reishi is in the skies, in their bodies, everywhere, basically. Basically about to destroy them, and then here comes Ichigo, saving the day, as always. He calls for his Bankai. But basically he says, if I break the disc on your head, you can call out you cannot collect, reishi. And I don't like his Bankai form. Like, have you guys seen his Bankai where his chest is always out and his kimono is like ripped and like flared, but like his Bankai is just like a higher collar with like, I don't want to say bondage straps, but like it's just really cool to me. I don't know, maybe it's not to you guys, but I just had to point that out. It looks great. Basically they flash back. He says no need to be tense. Most of the damage in the last invasion occurred near the other gate. You guys can see that I'm on this page, and you think everything is going to be all good. He says, I see, that makes sense. Boom. Serete, and he makes out a valid point. He's already in the barrier, and then we start seeing these pillars of light coming out, and we get a very descriptive one in this one right here where my finger is. This is just awesome. Another thing about that, I want to talk about it at the end, about the colored books, but we'll get into that later at the end of it in my thoughts. It says, what is that? It's an attack, and you see Captain Kuchiki and a few seated members and assistant captains running to where all the destruction. Assistant Captain Kuchiki going to the pillars, and he says, I'm stepping out, you stay and guard this place. Basically, we see Head Captain Yamamoto. And he is talking to, and he said, yes, sir, first company, third seat, Genshiroto Kabaka. Sorry for my pronunciation. I'm always going to say sorry because I know I fucked that up. And basically, you have assistant captain and some seated members where everything is where the first pillar appears, and you see a person coming out of the pillars, and they're assuming position in their fighting stance, and he says it's a Quincy, and out of nowhere he says attack, and we see like this big, and he is just blown in half. This is an assistant captain, I think his name is, and mad because like you didn't even give him a chance to like defend himself. They find it very dishonorable, and right now they are going to release their shikai. Wow, if I can turn the book, that would be nice. And most of them are obliterated. And he says our orders are to kill all. And you get to see the Star Knights, or the Ritter Sterns. I think that's what it's called. I'm just going to say Night Stars because it's easier. So we see 5 partially masked figures. 2, I'm assuming, are women, and the other 4, presumably men. I don't know. The Stern Ritter will now begin our purge. And you see the captains and assistant captains rushing in. Basically, and the company of the assistant captain is trying to make sense of all of this and see, you know, the death count and everything else. Turn the page. Basically, I think this is Love. His hair has gotten a little bit different. I don't know if you guys can like see that. And he has encountered one of the Night Stars. And much needed dialogue from both of them before they start fighting. And we get to see Stern Ritter F. You can see that. Basically, she shoots out things and people immediately start to die and drop. And a lot of people are frightened, and one of the guards says it's our job to protect no matter the threat, don't retreat, and Renji says I agree with all of that and shows up. Renji is so hot. And then we get to see Stern Ritter E. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this. Slaughtering a little girl like you is a warrior for the invading army, and she says a doggy like you is a captain. The Soul Society must be really understaffed. I don't know why, but I think that dialogue between the both of them is like really funny. Not like haha funny, but like kind of punny. Another thing that I would definitely like to note is that Renji Abate has actually engaged one of the Night Stars, which is E, and then another one comes out and kind of sneak attacks him. And then who should show up but Byakura Kuchiki. And he says these people are trying to annihilate the Soul Society without mercy. They are the enemy. There's no need to take, mercy on them. Slice them down with everything that you have. It's basically what Byakura is saying. Like, why should we take, pity on them? They're trying to annihilate us, the very existence of us. Turn this a little bit so I can, basically, another company is facing one of the Night Stars, And then basically talking about, say right here, cutting them down, and we go back to Captain. There's no need to show any pity. These people are murderers, coward men who shed blood inside the Sarate with no warning. I wasn't showing them pity. Basically, a little dialogue between them. And he just cuts one of the Night Stars, F's, hand up. He says, how could you let him tell you through your... I don't even want to say it. This sounds like blunt or something. Basically dialogue with the two of them. He collapses the ground so it could be a fair fight. Him against Renji, and obviously one of the Night Stars against Byakura Kuchiki. Another thing that I would definitely like to understand, they are trying to call out their Zanpakutos, which is very interesting. You know, Zanbo and Sakurai, and Kyoji, Tenjin, Mano, and Jukibaku, and their Zanpakutos. And after, turn the next page, they're like smiling and grinning and just have, this is very important, they hold like this little thing. Then out of nowhere, everybody is stunned. My Baikai was stolen, and Byakura is in disbelief. And all of them are having that. So that's definitely an important fact to know, that if they draw out their Zanpakutos, they would automatically be sealed. I don't know for how long or if it's permanent, but definitely everybody is shocked and appalled. Well, not appalled, but just very shocked that has happened. Then Captain Hitsugaya informs his assistant captain to inform all captains about this, tell them not to use Bankai, that it will be taken from you, and basically inform to all of the captains. And it said, stolen, what are those fools doing? And basically, Monetsuchi is like, idiots, why couldn't they wait until our analysis are done? Those hopeless fools. And we have more dialogue and meet another Night Star interacting with the captain. Battle hasn't really begun between those two. It was very interesting because he did get shot in the eye. I'm gonna make my own little book and list the captain's names and pictures because it's a lot to keep up. He says we get back to another scene, and it says, what would you like me to do? It appears that this unit has lost its will to fight already. Leave it up to you. He's talking to His Majesty in the sky. I don't know. Can you guys see? So basically, if they are better off, if you spared them their lives, then do so. I understand. Basically, we cannot afford to have you lose your Bankai. Renji was going to call out his Bankai, and he said stop. Like, we can't afford you to risk your Bankai as well, too. So basically it says, now then, how are we supposed to fight them? And basically, we are with I think he's third seat, Akon, basically saying that he would like to contact Ichigo Kurosaki and trying to patch him through. And then, you know, they're trying to use his soul badge, but his badge is like in the world of the living. And then they trace his spiritual pressure to Wakamundo. Basically saying, points to Wakamundo. Why Wakamundo? What is he doing in there? And basically saying, I think Kisuke Urahara is with him. We'll try to reach him. And then they're calling him. Basically saying, hello. Oh, hi, Mr. Akon. It's been a while. How's it going? Huh? Me? I'm doing all right. Are you deaf? I said, it's an emergency. I don't care how you're doing. And basically having a little conversation and informing him what's going on, that the situation has worsened, and things like that. And he basically informs them about the enemy. He says, the enemy seems to want to do something to Ichigo's Bankai, but it's not working, and he's getting frustrated. And don't be silly, this isn't some fight I can just walk out into the middle of and fight. And he said, let me go back to my first question. How's it going over there? Definitely giving him more information about the situation that's going on, exchanging the information that's going on in Wakamundo and the Soul Society. I think it's very interesting that the Soul Society, that the Quincy's, I'm going to take a sip of my Pepsi, is basically trying to seal the Bankai, which is a little bit weird. The final form. And I don't know if their powers disappear like Uryu Ishida's powers do. That's a little bit interesting to note. Basically, he said, Ichigai realizes what he's doing. He says, some guy I met before tried to steal my Bankai too. Why do you guys want to steal my Bankai so badly? And it's definitely a question that I would like to know, because Ichigo possesses Soul Reaper powers and that of a Hollow power. So I feel like that's why his Bankai is a little bit difficult to seal. And I think that's why it's not doing. I'm not obligated to tell you that. Could it? And then Ichigo says, could it be you guys are afraid of Bankai? And he says, of course not. The Vrenish Real are afraid of nothing. And he gets really mad when he says that. Basically, Unohara blasts him and says thank you to his reishi crumbling, allows me to fatally wound him. He basically interrupts the fight and tells him that Ichigo is needed in the Soul Society, and things like that. He opens the gate and tries to tell him, like, go through this. Akon will give you further instructions and things that's happening right now, but you have to leave. Basically, Ichigo is trying to leave and try to go through, basically reporting saying that there are at least 16 enemies that possess powers equal or greater to the captain's class. They call themselves the Stirnträger and dress in all white uniforms, Quincy's. At the moment, the time, they have sustained 0 losses. There's not a single report of the victories for us. The enemy's abilities are, unfortunately, we haven't received any information other than that they are Quincy's, which basically means limited resources. Anybody that comes in contact with them immediately disappears or is dead. And basically, we do know one thing: the enemy possesses the ability to take possession of Bankai. The possession, what are you talking about? That's not possession. I wish it wasn't true, but it's not up for me to debate. The information was directed from the companies 2, 6, 7, and 10 had their Bankais taken. And Urha is actually analyzing the fight that he had with the Quincy's and giving them more information. He says there are aspects of the Quincy's. The first Quincy's, Varnstierditch, are the abilities one shows the most obvious change to form their combat abilities. However, all that we know so far is that their ability is to witness firsthand. The second ability is called Blunt. By releasing Reishi into their veins, they are able to drastically increase their offense and defense abilities. This is a powerful ability, but there's a major flaw in it. The offense and defense are operated by separating Rishi system. They cannot activate it simultaneously. He was able to inefficiently attack you after you had performed Bankai earlier. That was only because he had to consistently locate his Reishi to a defense. Basically saying, like, they can only do one or two things. Like, he knew that Bankai was going to happen, so instead of attacking, he went on the defense, if that makes sense. One of the most importantly is the Bankai blunder. He says, exactly as Mr. Akon suggested, they are able to seal Bankai using a metal plate that they each possess. Learning how it worked will be analyzed by the metal plate that he had. Basically, he's going to analyze the plate and see how he can, they can actually seal it or take it, the Bankai, and try to, like, undo it. And he's about to get into the portal, and after that, you know, the Quincy that we thought was dead was not dead or not incapacitated. He says, I will not let you go to the Soul Society. His Majesty's orders were to keep Ichigo Kurosaki here, even if it means my life. And that, what the hell is this? You are close to saving the Soul Society, and you have no means to escape the cage now. Frustrating, isn't it, Ichigo? You will lose. You know, all you do is sit inside the cage and watch as the Soul Society falls. So basically, that's are already into battles with some of them. This is 56. I did Google if there were, like, issues that were in color, and it kind of came out. It did point me to this website, and the website was, I think, in Japan, and I don't know how to, like, order stuff from that. But interesting enough, it said some issues are in color and some issues aren't in color, which is a little bit, I mean, I don't want to say it's frustrating, but it's understandable. But I'm just going to keep it in all black and white. I know I said in the last one that I was going to find it in color, but what's the point of bouncing back to, like, black and white when it's already there? Another thing, I did order the new books, and they have came in 57, like a Byakura Kuchiki, and 58, which is Head Captain Yamamoto. Very interesting to read this. I haven't read it because I was trying to reread and use this. I'm probably going to read it on later on today, so it might be a second review. No, I think I'm going to do it tomorrow, and another review might be up. Another thing that I would like to note on the books is that I definitely want to do Sailor Moon, so I'm going to be doing more, not just Bleach. I want to do Sailor Moon. I want to do Naruto. I want to do JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. What else? Avatar: Last Airbender. And Adventures of Korra. No, is it Adventures of Korra or the book of both of the avatars? And we have, started the next Avatar after Korra, which is very interesting to see. I want to start Avatar just because, like, I feel like when you go to, like, books to TV shows or books to movies or whatever, there's always stuff left out, and I definitely want to get that from Barnes & Noble. That's pretty much all I have to say. I definitely liked it. This issue was more about fighting than it was information, more info. I definitely liked it, but I can't read the two of these, and after I read the two of these, I kind of want to keep it going, so I'm probably going to buy, I think I'm going to start Sailor Moon first and then do that, because Bleach is an ongoing series and Sailor Moon is not, at least I don't think. I mean, it is the Crystal Sailor Guardian, that is, but anything else is not. So I'm going to start with that. Hopefully you guys like this review. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching. Oh, and I did want to show you this. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me take this off. Hopefully it won't break. Oh my god, shit me. Okay, so I got this cool little tripod for my phone. I got it from Five Guys, which is amazing. Let me turn on the light real quick because I'm filming like in my closet. Okay, I got like, let me not blind you guys, but I got like this ring light to put on my phone.